Should men 40 and over train to failure? That's the question that we're going to be answering today. And before we get into that question, my name is JD. I'm a 40-year-old hybrid athlete. I use calisthenics, weightlifting, and running as my primary modalities of training. Today, we're going to be talking about if the risk is worth the reward for men over 40 to be training to failure. So first and foremost, you need to ask yourself this question. What are my goals when it comes down to my training? Am I training to get stronger? Am I progressively overloading? Am I training for aesthetics? Am I trying to build muscle? Am I trying to get lean? Am I training for endurance? Am I training for performance? Am I training to get explosive and more athletic? These are all things that you need to ask yourself when it comes down to how you're going to program for yourself and how you're going to program your training. Now, just a quick plug before we break this question down. If you guys are looking to optimize your physique, optimize your performance, and you're not sure how to program for yourself, go to my website, hybridathlete40.com. Take the intake assessment and we can give you some direction via online coaching or an online program that will work for you. So let's start off with training for strength. This is something that's extremely common for men in their 40s or just men in general. I think it's just a natural thing for us to want to get stronger, for us to have a strength goal or maybe a movement goal when it comes down to calisthenics. We want to have something to chase. We want to have something to work towards. And when it comes down to strength training, it is going to be important to train to failure. I'm not saying every single workout you need to be training to failure, but there is going to be times when you need to test that 1 rep max. There's going to be a lot of times when you need to train to about 90% or maybe 95% and maybe get a few reps in at that. And what this does is, by going to failure, is sending a signal through your nervous system to your brain that your body needs to adapt. One of the things that me and one of my homeboys, James, if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you guys know back in the days, me and James always used to be talking about communicating with your body and how important it is to communicate with your body through your actions. The main way that we can communicate with our body is through our central nervous system, putting stress on our central nervous system. So if we're putting stress on our central nervous system and communicating that we are trying to get stronger by pushing ourselves to the limit, that's going to send a signal to our brain to then send a signal back out to our body to get stronger. Our muscles are going to adapt. We're going to adapt strength-wise. Our nervous system really is the key when it comes down to attaining whatever physical goals that we have for our body. Another example of this could be endurance. Our cardiovascular system is linked up with our nervous system as well. If you're pushing yourself to failure, or if you're pushing yourself to near failure when it comes down to going on a run, your cardiovascular system sending a message via your nervous system to your brain that you need to adapt. The way that our brain works and the way that our body works is our brain is taking all this information in as adapt or die. Our body takes those messages, that communication, extremely serious. So let's talk about training for aesthetics, training to get leaner, training to build muscle. Do you need to train to failure in order to build muscle? Do you need to train to failure in order to get leaner? And the answer to that question is that you really don't need to train to failure in order to get leaner or to build muscle. That you can do training with moderate intensity. I would say like anywhere from 60 to 70%. And you can just have a program where you might stay within the 8 to 12 rep range or 8 to 15 rep range at moderate intensity with moderate weight, and you can build muscle and you can get leaner. One of the things when it comes down to aesthetics is that a lot of it has to do with our diet and our caloric intake anyways. So if we're doing hypertrophy training, which is training at a moderate level, maybe between the rep ranges, like I said, 8 to 15 reps, we're gonna build some muscle. And then if our diet is on point, we're gonna lose that fat or lose that excess weight that we're looking to lose. Is there any dangers to training to failure? There is some dangers when it comes down to training to failure. And there's also dangers when it comes down to training for aesthetics as well. There is such thing as junk volume when it comes down to training for aesthetics. So even if you're not pushing yourself to the max, if you're not training to failure, you can still get injured. And this is something that I see time and time again, is that people don't know when to quit. When people aren't training to failure, they seem to think that they have the capacity to do a little bit more. So you can start, you see a lot of guys online, especially when it comes down to calisthenics. They'll have a video title and be like, I did 1,000 reps in this workout or whatever it may be. And if you think about the concept of training to 500, 700, 1,000 reps, there's going to be a ton of junk volume in those repetitions. So not all of those reps are going to be clean money. Not all of those reps are going to be good reps. And the danger of having a lot of junk volume is it puts a lot of overuse on your joints, and especially when you're using sloppy form, that is where the danger is, and that is how you get injured. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you're training to failure, there's also a risk of getting injured as well. As a matter of fact, I think there's probably a higher risk of getting injured just by the nature of training to failure. Your form is going to break down at some point if you're training to 90, 95, even 100% effort on a specific exercise. And there's no way, if you're giving all of your energy into something, that you're gonna be able to do it perfectly. So you have to keep that in mind when it comes down to strength training. Now, this is a risk that a lot of us are willing to take because we have goals that we find extremely important, and we have the pursuit of getting stronger. But there are different protocols that you can take to make sure that you don't get injured on a regular basis. And training smarter is a part of that. So making sure that you're not training till failure, deep into a session. You're not going after a 1 rep max, an hour and 15 minutes into your training session. I tend to front load my most difficult exercises. So I'll do my most difficult exercises, my most intense exercises when I'm the freshest. And then progressively throughout my workout, I'll go into maybe higher rep ranges or just simpler accessory exercises. One more pro when it comes down to training to failure is that the more intense that your workouts are, the shorter your workouts need to be. The lower your intensity is on your workouts, you're more than likely going to need to stay in the gym for a longer period of time. I train very intense. And when it comes down to my workouts now, I'm 40 years old, going to be 41 soon. But when it comes down to my workouts, I tend to only work out about 45 minutes to an hour per day. And I'm working on some pretty complex movements and some pretty intense movements. Now, before, when I was training a little bit less intense, my workouts would last a lot longer. I'd be in the gym for an hour and a half, 2 hours, sometimes even 3 hours, because I had that much energy to expend because my nervous system wasn't getting pushed to the limit. So you can get more concise and quick workouts in when you're training with more intensity and you're training to failure. When it comes down to training to failure, I think it's something that we can all gain from. Like I said, we communicate with our body through our nervous system. So putting stress on our nervous system is gonna send those signals to get stronger, to build more endurance, to build muscle, and to get more explosive or get more athletic. But anyways, guys, if you guys got some value from this video, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. If you guys are interested in learning more about my hybrid approach to training, or you guys are interested in seeing if you qualify for one-on-one coaching, go to my website, hybridathlete40.com, and take the assessment, and we'll get back to you with a recommendation for a program or a recommendation for online coaching. Hope everybody's having a great day out there. I'll holler at you guys later. Peace.